The US tested the $500 million railgun that uses electromagnets, and it shocked the entire world. Just by using electricity, this powerful railgun has more speed than the speed of sound. But what are its other advantages? Why is this railgun reliable? If you are curious about it, then watch our video, as today we are discussing this powerful and expensive railgun tested by the US. Keep watching this video until the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more uploads like this. Here we begin. The most fascinating news that I am going to share with you all is that the US Navy has now pulled the plug on a futuristic weapon that blasts projectiles with a speed that is 7 times more than the speed of sound by just utilizing electricity. To know every detail about it, keep watching this video until the end. You will find that the Navy has spent more than a decade in generating the electromagnetic railgun and once contemplated settling them on the stealthy modern Zumwalt-class destroyers assembled at Maine's Bath Iron Works. But now, it has been reported that the Defense Department is diverting its interest to hypersonic missiles to keep up with Russia and China. The Navy cut the allocation for railgun exploration from its latest budget proposal. Let's hear what Matthew Karras, who is a defense analyst for Avascent Group, said about it. The railgun is, for the moment, dead. Well, now what's going to happen? The deduction of funding indicates the Navy saw both challenges in enforcing the technology as well as drawbacks in the projectile span when we compared it to the hypersonic missiles. But why has the Navy made this decision? Let's hear what Lieutenant Courtney Callahan, a Navy spokesperson, said about it. The Navy's decision to pause research at year's end frees up resources for hypersonic missiles, directed energy systems like lasers, and electronic warfare systems. She further added, information gleaned during testing will be retained in the event the Office of Naval Research wants to pick up where it left off in the future. As I already mentioned, the Navy spent about $500 million on research and development, according to Brian Clark, an analyst at the Hudson Institute. Now, this railgun technology was close to giving rise to the jump from science fiction to truth in the 21st century with the testing of models. Let me tell you that this notion carried the likelihood of giving a beneficial weapon at pennies on the dollar when it is correlated to smart bombs and missiles. You must be wondering why, right? That's because railguns utilize electricity rather than gunpowder, or jet or rocket engines, to stimulate a projectile at 6 or 7 times the speed of sound, and that establishes sufficient kinetic energy to demolish targets. But let's also mention that there were various difficulties. Do you know what these difficulties can be? Well, these comprise a range of 110 miles in testing. Let's hear what Clark said about it. A Navy vessel could not employ the gun without putting itself within range of a barrage of enemy missiles, and its usefulness for missile defense was also limited by range and rate of fire. The idea dates back to the 1940s, but there have always been major hurdles because the parallel rails, or conductors, are subjected to massive electric current and magnetic forces that can cause damage after a few shots, said defense analyst Norman Friedman. But do you know what the big question is? It was always whether the gun could keep up together during continual firing. A normal gun can be fired about 600 times before the barrel has to be refurbished, but the barrel on the railgun prototype had to be replaced after about a dozen or 2 dozen shots were fired, Clark said. A few years back, the Navy spoke about settling the gun on the prospective USS Lyndon B. Johnson, which was the ultimate of 3 stealthy destroyers. Instead, it's closing fulfillment and maker trials at Bath Iron Works. The 600-foot-long, about 180-meter-long warship utilizes marine turbines related to those that stimulate the Boeing 777 to enable the output of up to 78 megawatts of electricity for usage in propulsion, sensors, and weapons. Well, it is certainly sufficient. It's enough electricity for the railgun, and the ship has an area pursuing the cancellation of the progressive gun system, vacating the ship with no traditional cannon-based weapon. Rather, the Navy is seeking an outgrowth of the railgun, a hypervelocity projectile that can be blasted from prevailing gun systems. Now, do you know about electromagnetic railguns? Electromagnetic railguns are decidedly distinct from traditional guns, cannons, and howitzers. Well, you will find that regular guns utilize the pressure from an ignited gunpowder charge to evict a projectile from the barrel, delivering it drifting on a ballistic trajectory. But on the other hand, railguns utilize electricity and magnetism rather than gunpowder and chemical energy to stimulate a projectile down a pair of rails. You will find that railguns are theoretically safer than traditional guns, since they decrease the quality of volatile powder, which is stored deep within their bowels in the ammunition journal. And you will also find that the projectiles are also faster. Unfortunately, the railgun seems to be the casualty of the service's new priority on tremendous power competition. Although remarkable, the railgun has been outweighed by other weapons, especially hypersonics. Let me tell you that the US Navy's push to create a $500 million electromagnetic railgun that is competent at slinging projectiles at hypersonic speeds seems to have come to an end. The assistance is culminating funding for the railgun without delivering a single weapon to sea, while propelling technology that is derived from the strategy into prevailing weapons. The weapon is a sufferer of a modification in the Navy's way toward faster, longer-range weapons that are competent for hitting ships and land victims in crucial conflicts. I know you all adore the military. So do we. So let's move these aspects together. First, it was reported that the Navy's budget petition comprises no allotment for the railgun in 2022. But despite those benefits, there are explanations why the Navy is terminating the railgun, which has been an improvement since 2005. For one, let me tell you that there are presently only 3 ships the Navy could possibly match the railgun to the 3 Zumwalt-class destroyers. Moreover, the next chance for matching warships with railguns won't occur until the late 2020s, when the Navy commences building on its next-generation DDG-X destroyers. Let me tell you one thing. The railgun notion itself is furthermore out of step with the Navy's reorientation toward tremendous power war, especially a feasible conflict with China or Russia. Moreover, as an objectionable weapon, the railgun's span of 50 to 100 miles is somewhat short, positioning a railgun-equipped ship within the span of longer-range weapons, including China's DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile. And while the railgun furthermore has protective potential, this is because it can shoot down incoming missiles, aircraft, and drones, and the Navy already has a lot of prevailing missiles and guns to handle those dangers. But now, you will find that the railguns happen to have subsided victim to a new trend. Do you know about it? Well, this trend is hypersonic weapons. The Navy's modern common hypersonic glide body, expanded in conjunction with the US Army, has a maximum speed of Mach 17, and a span of more than 1,700 miles. So now, you can understand that it's fast enough to immerse time-sensitive victims to a safe extent. So that's all for today. What do you think about this weapon worth 500 million USD? Does the feature specify its cost? Will the weapon be more powerful than any other weapon worldwide? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and smash the bell icon to get more updates like this. Until we meet again, take care.